How we doing, fellas? My name is Wolf, and I saw this post on Reddit today that basically says, is it possible to jump straight to End of Dragons to get the fishing ability and go back to vanilla for leveling? Now, not only is this pretty much possible, this is kinda what I did. So I think it's time for me to put all of my fishing knowledge together into basically an ultimate beginner's guide to Guild Wars 2 fishing. I'm going to cover pretty much everything in this video. How to unlock it, all the knowledge that I have so far and that I've just acquired through my experiences fishing, and my tips and suggestions for you if you were just getting into Guild Wars 2 or you just know it's got fishing and you want to fish. Because this is kind of what I wish existed for me, because I was in the exact same scenario. I wanted to fish in Guild Wars 2. I enjoyed like Stardew Valley fishing, but I wanted to fish towards my legendary, and people kept telling me in YouTube comments that you could make insane amounts of gold fishing and don't have to play the game anymore. So I was like, man, I need to get some of this. And there was really nothing. There was one or two videos that were kind of okay, so I figured I would do it myself instead. So, to answer our man's question here, it is absolutely possible, and I'm going to show you how. So, in Guild Wars 2, what you want to do is press H, and then you go to your story journal. Then you go down to End of Dragons, and you'll do Convergence. This will be the very first chapter for End of Dragons. Obviously, you have to buy the expansion, but what I would suggest is once you start this, you're going to get a cutscene. You're going to do Convergence, and you're going to do Old Friends, and you're going to get a cutscene, and you're going to skip every single one, because otherwise you're going to spoil your game massively, right? Because my wife tried to do the exact same thing that I did to get fishing, didn't skip the cutscene, and spoiled the entire story that she was working her way through. Spoilers, obviously, you see you have a dragon, but Orion's the front runner of the game anyway, so you're not really getting around that one. But once you finish Old Friends, it will shit you out right over here at the village waypoint. And this is going to be where we start our fishing journey. It will drop you with a basic fishing rod, and you'll be off to the races. So, from here, you're going to want to start working on a couple of things. Welcome to Cantha. This is one of my favorite zones in the entirety of the Guild Wars franchise. And in here, you need to get End of Dragons mastery points for the fishing tree, as well as the skiff piloting tree. You will need to get both of these, and they're kind of a pain in the ass. But good news is you can do it all with fishing and not really much else, as I've been working on here. So, the first thing you're going to want to do is mess around with your fishing and get used to the minigame, right? Keybind it to a specific button in your control options here. I have mine on J at the moment, so it's out of the way, and then you can pull out the fishing rod at any point. You can then click down here as well to activate the mastery skill, which will allow you to either start fishing or summon your skiff. The skiff is the boat that you get. And so the boat has no requirement on unlocking it either. So what I suggest you do is once you're dropped right off the boat right here, you make your way all the way up here, and you come around to this area. And this will be the heart that will give you the skiff. Doing the event here, the Shinoda Blackfins and what have you, fish up a bunch of them, get your fishing practice. Once you finish that, you unlock the skiff, you can talk to the NPC, and I believe that unlocks it, or just completing the heart does. And then you can do the same methodology with the skiff when you control it. Make sure to press your anchor key. You can press the anchor key while the boat's kind of moving still. It'll drop your anchor, and then you have to be a little bit careful with this thing. You're going to want to start looking for the offshore fish, or even the shore fish. Where I suggest you go immediately after that is just explore the map a little bit. You will have to do potentially a little bit of killing, but it's just in the pursuit of mastery experience, because we're going to be slowly working our way through the fishing tree here. We want to get Fishing Hole Master first, which will reduce the time it takes to catch a fish and triples the experience gained from fishing. So this makes it so just fishing is equivalent to a kill's worth of XP. You can probably go up to about fishing on a full tank or master caster without killing a single thing and not have it be too annoying. But once you start working on local legend, then you need to start doing some events around the area. But I've done all of this with pretty much only 2 of the Canthan areas explored, and I haven't really done any of the story stuff in there, so you don't have to worry too much about that. So, up next, I would suggest you go around and get as many mastery points as possible. So you've got the Cat Island here, you've got what I call surface mastery points. So if you press H, you can go to your achievements, and then go to End of Dragons, and then go to Mastery Insights. And this will show you all of the overworld core mastery insights. It's what I call them, I suppose. They're just the ones lying around all the maps. So I got all of them in Saitung here, as I think that's how you pronounce the map. And a couple in Dragon's End, and a couple in Echovault Wilds. Just basically all the ones that I needed. There are still some here. I don't know particularly where they are, but if I needed to go get more, I could. You're going to need a significant amount. You need 20 mastery points, all in all. So not too bad there. And then you will be basically ready to fish your heart out and or grind your heart out for the fishing stuff. Now, it's very important you do this in Cantha for a very specific reason. I'm parked at a fishing hole just to show you here. So I'm gonna grab a fish really fast, and I'm going to explain why you're gonna be stuck in Cantha when you're fishing for a little while at least. Because when you fish, you'll see this thing here, the recommended fishing power. This fishing location is standard difficulty, and then my fishing power underneath it. Now, 200 is a lot when you first start out, but the core game is much, much, much higher. So you're gonna be kind of locked into Saitung for a little bit of a time here. So how do we mitigate that? Essentially, from this waypoint here, we're going to make our way all the way out on our skiff or on a skimmer, all the way over here, because there's a heart, as well as the fishing vendors that will sell you the first skin for your fishing rod, as well as the starting equipment you're going to need. So we make our way in here. And we'll also have a fishing event that spawns here that you can do time after time that I chained repeatedly since it's up every like 10-15 minutes. And that event will give you 40 silver worth of fish if you're lucky. So you can chain that for your event XP, for your fishing XP, or whatever have you. As well as it'll unlock the shoulder piece that I got. Where are you? The Salt Spray Dragon Scarf, which I think looks pretty cool. Big fan of that one. So this NPC right here, the Fishing Supplies NPC, will give you access to wooden lures, antique lures, and then all of the supplies here. So what I suggest you do is you pin the achievements. So in my case, I have Avid Saitung Province Fisher, and I tracked it by clicking in the corner here, and this puts it on the sidebar, so you can just click it and check it, and then see what you need to do. So in this case, I need the shore fish, and I need offshore fish, and I need shrimplings. So I would buy jars of shrimplings. Now, I would buy these in advance in bulk. So, if you buy, for whatever reason, 2 of these, I'm going to fuck my inventory up just to show you, because I would rather do it for showcase, and you hit use all, it'll put them in a stack of 50. But, you want to see what's a real pain in my ass, is if we press J, and then pull out my fishing stuff by pressing my modify tackle button, these won't stack. For whatever reason, if I switch it out to something else, oh, they will now. Oh, cool. Never mind, I'll contradict myself. Cool. I'm actually fine with being wrong for once, because that means that works. Bet! So, next, we need to get the fishing lure. Now, in this case, you can do 2 things. You can buy a shit ton of the wooden fishing lures that will eat up your inventory space, or you can make a dedicated fishing character like some people do. In my case, I'm going to buy a couple of the fishing lures, so I can equip one of them. Get my fishing power even higher. But because they created a problem and can sell the solution, there is quite literally an infinite fishing lure in your upgrades panel. Down here somewhere. There we go. Infinite fishing lure. For 800 gems, you get 100 fishing power. Now, I didn't know this until about 2 weeks ago when I saw it on Reddit by accident. So that was cool. Big fan of that. Definitely going to buy this at some point with my gold from fishing. Okay, so now we're all set up. We've got our required bait for whatever we're going for. We have our fishing rod. We have our fishing rod skin, most likely, because she sells the striped fishing rod, which is the only skin you can get without having to use the gem store. We've got ourselves our boat, and we are good to fish. So, where do we want to fish? My suggestion, honestly, right where we are. It's very easy to do the Avid Saitung Fisher. This will also be just the normal Saitung Fisher. You'll see I have Echovault's normal here. I'm working on this Dark Sleeper that's been evading me for pretty much weeks at this point. But you'll see when I finish these events that I get chunks of ancient ambergris. I think that's how you call it. I don't know. Don't catch me on pronunciation. I do my best. But you'll see I get 4 of those. These are worth 2 gold each. And then every time you get a legendary fish, I'm not going to go around and find one for you, but every time you get a legendary fish, when you convert it, it will break down into one of these. So every legendary fish is worth basically 2 gold, just across the board. This is why I find Saitung to be one of the best fishing areas just in general, because for shrimplings, I can do either shore fish or offshore fish during daytime or nighttime, so I can pretty much mob around whenever and just get fish at any point and don't have to switch bait all that often. But there is another option that I'll show you in just a bit. But you'll notice that I talked about the daytime, nighttime there. That's a unique thing to do with fishing that will revolve around what fish are available at what time. Now, you can see in the corner here, I have it set to show what the actual timer is. Now, I didn't know this existed until someone pointed it out to me on Reddit as well. So if you go into your settings, you go to options, you can enable the show time of day in the corner there, and that will show you whether it's night, day, dawn, or dusk, which are some like 5-minute windows. I haven't done those fish, but those sound fucking annoying. But, yeah, that will allow you to manipulate certain things, because certain areas are better for daytime fishing, certain areas are better for nighttime fishing. You'll get more legendaries and whatnot. Saitung, obviously, like I was saying, has daytime and nighttime fish. You can manipulate it where you want, or you can just throw on shrimplings and go fishing. If you're gonna go fishing, we aren't entirely done just yet, because you'll see I have 525 fishing power. That's because I have my bait, I have my fishing lure, and then I have fishing power food, which gives me 150 fishing power, plus another 100 from the extra mastery bonus. So, going through the fishing, by this point you'll probably be able to get to fishing at a full tank, which will give you 100 fishing power while nourished. In this case, you're gonna wanna then buy sushi. So white fish all the way up to red fish sushi as well will give you increased fishing power, plus also trigger your fishing power buff over top of that from fishing on a full tank, getting you a nice burst of power. Now the reason that's useful is it makes your fishing bar that much higher. I'll show you a comparison in a little bit on why that matters, but just to show you with this fishing hole right here, just take a look at how big the fishing bar is inside the minigame. I'll give you a little tip as well, that you can use AD, or you can use, I believe you can use your mouse as well, or whatever other buttons you've got it set to here. So keybind it as you want, but I'm just using AD. But you'll see how big the area is here. And that changes with fishing power, which has a big effect when you start getting into easier farms or more optimal farms. Because now I've covered pretty much everything. I covered the food, I covered the fishing lures, I covered all the extra stuff. So now we can get down to the nitty-gritty, which is how to make the most gold possible when fishing. And this is going to vary based on what patch you're in, and how much ArenaNet's decided to fuck over fishers or whatever have you, right? But the tricks that you need to know is that the Gathering booster, or the Explorer's booster right here, are exceptionally good, because it's a 33% chance at extra resources when gathering. And for whatever reason, fish are coded like a gathering node. So having an Explorer's booster up that you can get from map completing Queensdale or early maps or what have you, will actually give you a chance at extra fishing hole hits. To the point you can get 6 off the same hole, which is a 33% proc on all 3 of the normal fishing procs, I guess, or normal fished. It's weird. But you kind of understand what I mean, right? So now, combining all of that together, you can actually get even more if you get the fishing party mastery. Now this is where things get kind of annoying, because while on your skiff, you and your party or squad members receive an amount of fishing power based on your total number of catches from fishing nodes. This makes it kind of annoying to be a lone fisherman, because this stacks up based on your team, and it stacks up to 99. And you don't want to walk away from your skiff either, because you get like a 15-second stacking, or a 15-second decreasing timer. So you want to be very, very careful about that. But what I learned recently is that if you buy Zephyrite Fish Jerky, will grant tips on skiff use if you're in an anchored skiff and the skiff owner has the fishing party mastery unlocked. Increases the skiff's fishing party catches as if 25 fish had been caught. Now, in this case, you could just buy order a shit ton of these, which is what I'm pretty much gonna do. Maybe not 250, but, you know, a couple of them. And with 4 of these, it'll run you, 40, 50 gold, right? And that's by order. We'll call it 60 if you buy them instantly. But what's really important is that will max out your fishing party. So if you're on your own, you'll now have 99 fishing power without having to really have a team at your back, and it'll only cost you a reasonably small amount. Because keep in mind, every legendary fish that you get is going to get you 2 gold guaranteed. So you just sack 60 gold or 60 silver off the first fish to instantly stack yourself when you're going to do a big day's worth of fishing, and you're all good to go. Now, the other place I would suggest you to fish in, and then I'm going to leave you off with, is the Crystal Oasis. I would suggest starting here, doing the entirety of Saitung, getting all the fish here, finishing off the achievement, and then if you want to move to Eckewald, go for that as well. Do all your overworld mastery points so that you can get up to fishing party to get as much XP as possible. And then you can do some of the events around here, like there's the fishing tournament. This would give you 2 ascended fish. So those ascended fish will also sell pretty reasonably, 18 silver apiece, I think. And there's also a fishing NPC up in this area, or this area over here, where you can convert your fish upwards. There's also a NPC in Arborstone somewhere that I didn't find that apparently has a catch of the day, which will give you another chunk of ambergris for a full non-converted into material fish. So for example, that's non-converted, that's converted, right? So they'll give you a very unique fish, and then you'll go around and catch it and do that for the day if you want to chase that fisherman's high sort of ordeal. Simple enough. So, reason I say the Crystal Oasis is because this is the highest gold per hour daytime fishing that I've been told. I think Straits of Devastation might beat it out now, and it might also change based on patch to patch. But the reason this is relatively good is all you need to do is make your way over here to the fishing supplies vendor, which is right here, and then you just gotta buy scorpions and then fish from there, because the desert fisher will give you any time or any bait daytime, mackerel any day, and then scorpions time any. So you'll make more gold during the daytime since you are accessing 2 legendaries, but the scorpions will also be a relatively good bait option where you don't have to switch bait at all. So you'll see the chunk of ambergris there, 10 flawless fish if you want to convert. This was the conversion NPC I was talking about. Simple enough. There's our fishing supplies. So you just buy jars of scorpions, and we will go from there, equip those, and go fish. Now I will show you the final point that I have for this is that whilst fishing optimally is very, very important, and you can make very high amounts of gold, I'm going to leave you with one final note, is that fishing in the most optimal places might not be the most autopilot of tasks, and when you're coming to do fishing, that's a very important point, because you'll see that even with my 525 fishing power, it's still much, much smaller, and is going to be much more difficult depending on what type of fish I'm catching. If I'm catching a higher tier, I don't know if that affects the fishing power, but there have been some in here that are very difficult to catch. And on top of that, if you go into, say, like a PvP queue, your fishing buff is gone. If you go into World vs. World, I think your fishing buff also disappears as well. So you need to be careful with stuff like that. And obviously, as you can see while I was talking, I partially fucked up. But stuff like this is optimal because you can just go in a route like this. You can just go pretty much in a repeat loop over and over and over again. And if you have the Path of Fire special area, you can teleport here and go fishing from here. So yeah, that is my ultimate beginner's guide to Guild Wars 2 fishing. Let me know if you guys have any other advice in the comments down below. And as always, thank you guys very much for listening. Take care, fellas.